The McDougall family has made its mark on the pages of history. Many historians, some of them with high school diplomas, have stated that the McDougalls have actually changed the direction of American discourse. Here are some of the reasons why. This here is my great 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 aunt Abigail McDougall. She lived during the Revolutionary War. She is on the side of the British 'cause she liked King George. She thought he was just the cutest thing she'd ever seen. Her husband, Nathan McDougall, was mad as hell at her because he was on the other side. He was actually a Minuteman. Aunt Abigail said that was part of the problem. She wanted a 10-minute man. Then there was my Grandma McDougall with 4 greats before her name. She lost a fortune trying to start a cosmetics company called Beauty Warts. It just never took off except for a few women up in Salem, Massachusetts who were reputed to be witches. Instead of giving up, Grandma McDougall decided to design a line of clothing for women whom cosmetics didn't help at all. Here is a sample. Our family has a long military history. This here's Montague McDougall, seen just before he was marching on Monterey during the Mexican War. He was captured by the Mexicans and tried as an illegal alien. They wasn't as enlightened as folks nowadays are about how to treat national boundary trespassers. He was stood up in front of a banana tree and shot by the local commandante. Ever since, none of us McDougalls has been very partial to bananas or Mexicans either. And this is Montague's brother, Mortimer McDougall. He were a pretty good soldier, but he didn't carry no guns because of his religion. What he actually did was to carry a rattlesnake inside his coat, and when he got next to an enemy, he'd whip out the snake and sick it on the enemy soldier. Morty didn't last very long. Seems the snake couldn't tell the difference between the enemy and Mortimer. This here is Delilah McDougall. She worked all her life to break into show business as an impressionist. Her hopes were repeatedly dashed as she was able to do only one impression successfully. Here she is with that one, an impression of Whistler's mother. However, she was forbidden to perform it in public when Whistler sued her for misrepresentation, saying his mom always faced the other way. He produced a painting in court which proved he were right. Delilah lost the case and settled in New Jersey and went to work in a cannonball factory. She perished in an accidental explosion as she was lighting her cigar. Another sad ancestor was Sweetie McDougall. She volunteered to be a spy for the Yankee Army, offering to use her womanly wiles to attract rebel soldiers and get them to give her military secrets. She were never successful and actually only attracted one Southern soldier, but he were a pervert and didn't have any secrets except for the fact that he liked to wear ladies' underwear. Many of my ancestors were involved in various causes. A cousin, Susan B. McDougall, was out front in the women's suffrage movement in Ohio. That's her, third from the left. She attempted to reach a compromise with the menfolk by promising never to vote for an Indian, a black person, or an Irishman. The next picture is of a group of Indian men, black men, and Irishmen. One particular point of family pride is the number of inventors named McDougall. For instance, here is a picture of Edwina McDougall. She spent her entire adult life trying to develop a method whereby she could get dogs to understand English. Sadly, she was unable to do so, except for a command to do it on the paper, and that didn't work every time. However, by opening her thought processes when wired to her dog, she herself did learn how to bark in 3 octaves. And this here is Winnebago MacDougall, who was the original inventor of the RV. He attempted to sell his invention to the U.S. Army as a mobile headquarters for generals. The Army turned him down, stating they already had a similar device which was carried from place to place on the backs of enlisted men. Winnebago finally gave up and became a tour guide in Muleshoe, Texas. Two of my cousins, Orville and Wilbur MacDougall, lived on a remote farm in the backwoods of Montana. For 50 years from their birth, they never came in contact with anyone from the outside world. They had no knowledge of anything modern. Yet, in spite of this drawback, because of their basic genius, they were able to invent the airplane seen here. They called it an air buggy. Excited, they ventured out into the world to demonstrate the aircraft. Sadly, it was 1980 and they learned that they had missed fame by 79 years. Dashed, they returned to the farm and later invented the telephone, which they called an ear machine. Another near miss was the work of Dudley MacDougall, who invented a reaping machine. The company he formed had high hopes, but the advertising firm he hired goofed. They named the new invention the Grain Reaping Implement Machine, known by its acronym the GRIM Reaper. Deadly to Dudley. And there you have it. I could go on and on, but modesty forbids it. Thanks for your attention. I hope you kids watching this will send a copy to your history teacher. It should get you an A+.